The dread of war is even more terrible than war itself. Seneca. Throughout history, people have always faced tough times. Wars, diseases, and disasters have brought a lot of pain and loss. The old Stoics, who lived long ago, knew a lot about tough times. Their teachings are all about dealing with life's struggles. When times get tough and uncertain, lots of people get scared that their normal, easy lives might break down. This fear is often true, and sometimes these things just happen. The idea of big changes happening because of bad luck and not knowing what will happen next is really scary. The Stoics, who were wise people from the past, had important advice on how to stay calm and live well, even when life is hard and the future looks worrying. In a world where buying a lot is normal and businesses make us think we need their stuff to be happy, it's hard to tell what we really need from what we don't. In rich countries, people don't often worry about basic things because they already have them. But when tough times come, we need to figure out what's most important and learn to handle not knowing what's going to happen. First, we must always remember that we can only control what we do. This is called dichotomy of control. Epictetus, a wise philosopher, said we can't control our bodies, things we own, or what others think of us. For instance, if the economy goes bad, we can't do much. We might lose money in stocks, our jobs, and our income. But if we rely on these things for happiness, the Stoics say we're just setting ourselves up to be let down. Epictetus once said something like this: "The things we can control are naturally free and unlimited, but the things we can't control are limited and controlled by others." So remember, if you think you can control things that are actually controlled by others, you'll find yourself stuck. Stoicism talks about three things: good acts, virtues, bad acts, vices, and things that don't really matter either way: indifference. Good acts are things we do ourselves, like helping out the community by giving food to the poor and old. Bad acts include stuff like charging too much for things people really need. Then, there are things like being rich or poor, healthy or sick, strong or weak, that aren't really good or bad. Indifference are things that happen around us that we can't control. So, why does this matter? During tough times, these indifference might be at risk, but our ability to do things isn't. Does this mean we should ignore everything outside our control? Not really, because we do need some of these things to live, like food and a place to live. But when times are hard, it's good to think about what we really need, so we can stop stressing about the things we don't need. When the economy is about to crash, do we really need all those fancy things? How much does being popular help us get food or keep us safe from a sickness that affects everyone, rich or poor? The more we care about these outside things, the more worried we get about losing them. But the fact is, we can be totally happy and satisfied without all that stuff. A key lesson from Stoicism is about death and pain. It's a bit harsh, but really, death and suffering are just natural. In Western cultures, people often see death as a really bad thing, something to avoid no matter what. We usually live in a way that reduces pain as much as we can. However, during tough times, it's important to remember that not everyone gets to have a long, healthy life. Earth's history is full of violence. Animals and people harm each other all the time. Babies sometimes don't survive birth. And big diseases like the Black Death once killed many in Europe. Why should we, living in modern times, expect to be exempt from nature's ways? Memento mori means remembering death. If we keep in mind that death and suffering are unavoidable and natural parts of life, we might feel some peace knowing that the worst things that can happen are actually normal. Socrates and Seneca both died calmly, with Seneca even finding comfort in death. He said, Death ends all pain. It's like the calm before we were born. If we feel sad for the dead, we should also feel sad for those not yet born. One last tip from Stoicism on staying calm during tough times is to remember that our future isn't fully in our hands. While our current actions can shape what happens next, the final outcome depends so much on things outside our control that we can't be sure of anything. The economy might collapse, we could lose our jobs, widespread poverty could happen, and many people might die. No matter how much we worry, it won't change these facts. Why not just release the stress of what's coming next, understanding that whatever comes our way, we have the best tool at work with, our own minds. If we can handle the idea of death, then dealing with life should be doable too. The great thing is that everything is always changing, just like how night turns into day and autumn turns into spring. So remember, this will pass too. History teaches us that people have survived really tough times, and these challenges often made them kinder, more caring, and more thankful for life. So, every situation has its good points. No matter what happens next, your ability to make the most of it can't be taken away. Thanks for tuning in.